In 2012, it was the first political campaign that we had people using Facebook a lot in Brazil. I understood that people wants to participate about the decision-making process of their cities. We won this award in the beginning of June of 2013. And in the end of June in Brazil, we had people going to the streets like Arabic Spring. If you were the mayor of your city, people are outside putting fire in the streets. They started calling us saying, hey, can you come here to talk about this? Through our platform, more than 1 million people already participated in decision-making process by either participatory budgets or deciding about things in their cities. We've solved almost 500,000 potholes or broken lighting or things in their streets. For example, a big TV news station here in Brazil interviewed a person that works as a security man in a building, and he was saying how he uses our platform every day, and he posts about broken lighting, and the municipality is always solving that. Today, we've become a much bigger platform that takes care about health issues, education, social assistance. It's not only about people posting problems, but actually, if you want to put your kid in the school, you go through our platform.
So do you think that you're actually powering the future of democracy?
I think so. A lot of people say this about us. We come with a lot of methodology to help use the platform and manage the city. We do this by empowering people in the decision-making process in democracy. We believe in democracy a lot.
Tell me, how did it all begin? What was the founding story? What was the context? What insights led to actually starting?
We started as a project in 2013. Basically, before launching our platform, I used to work with public campaigns, actually politicians' campaigns, like municipal mayors or governors or whatever here in Brazil. And it was in 2012 running campaigns here that I understood. It was the first campaign that people were using Facebook a lot in Brazil. So it was the first political campaign that we had people working and using social media. And so what I understood at that time was that people really wants to participate about the decision-making process of their cities or whatever. They want to participate a lot. And technology like social media, it was a tool for them to start working on. And so the idea came from that because we saw on social media that people wanted to participate. And at the same time, we knew a lot of politicians and actually good people that really wanted to make a change in the public sector. And so we thought, how can we develop a platform where people will connect with those guys? And so that people's voice will be heard. And how can we make a platform that will actually solve the problems that people have in their cities or whatever? And so we started in 2013. Right after we launched, we ran in a big award about the best urban app of the world. And we won this. And it was right at the beginning, 3 months after we launched. And the funny thing about this is that we won this award in the beginning of June of 2013. And in the end of June in Brazil, we had people going to the streets like the Arabic, the Arabic Spring. We had a kind of fetch here in Brazil. And it was in the same month. And I don't know if you were like the mayor of your city, people are outside the palace or whatever they work at, and maybe putting fire in the streets. And at the same time that a startup from Brazil won this big award in the world, they started calling us saying, hey, can you come here to talk about this? And when we got there, to talk to those guys, we knew not a lot of them, but a lot of people, a lot of politicians. We understood the feeling that they had. We were not there just to complain, but actually to try to help using technology to solve this thing. And so that's how we started, but we didn't have a business yet. It was just like a tool. But then by the end of 2013, we closed a deal with an investment fund here in Brazil, got an investment. We didn't have a business model yet, but we knew that we wanted to sell to governments, but we needed to help people. And so we started working as a company. And we're here like 10 years later.
Congratulations on that, by the way, because in many cases it's not the case anymore.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But before I go into kind of how and all of this and how did you expand and going back to the story of 3 months in, you're actually starting to talk to governments. That's a pretty huge thing. You mentioned a lot we. Can you tell me a bit about were you entrepreneurial before? Did you ever think about finding a company? And who are the we in your story? Who was there from the beginning?
Okay. I've been an entrepreneur since my whole life, basically. I did social communications, like my advertising here in Brazil as like a bachelor. But I don't know why, but I've always been an entrepreneur. So I started a advertising company right after college, and then I had a technology kind of digital marketing company as well. And then I don't know why, but I did a construction company as well. And so I always became an entrepreneur. And so I don't know what else to do. I worked for somebody else for about a year in my whole life, and that's all. And so when I say is that I had a company before that was a digital marketing one. That was the one that ran all these political campaigns. Mm-hmm. And with me, I had partners with me there. I still have partners with me. And when I say is that it's because, of course, I have my partners, but also not only the idea, but the whole thing around Colab is we. A lot of talking to a lot of people all the time. It wasn't an idea that, of course, it started from somewhere, but then we were, and I can say I was all the time talking to people saying, hey, what do you think about this? And people would give me something back, and I would try to build up on that. And so that's where the we comes from. Today, I still have one of the partners that started with me. Actually, it is a guy that went to college with me. We were in the same class. We are partners for, I don't know, like 15 years or something. 10 of them in Colab, but 5 before Colab as well. And that's it. I think that's the answer.
And that's it. Yeah, because it's very interesting to understand what drives people to start businesses versus not. And then social business is more.
This one, actually, when we started, it wasn't like a social impact business. I didn't know what a social impact business was 10 years ago or 12 years ago. So it started being like, this will be a big business. I think this is a good business. I think it is 10 years ago. We were not used to use social media. Technology was not starting, of course, but like for everybody to have a smartphone, that was something new. And so everything was in the beginning. It was the beginning of software as a service, like doing putting software in clouds and working from that. So everything was changing at that time. And in the beginning, what I thought it was that this is a very good business. I didn't know anything about this. But then after we started, we could understand that actually doing a social impact business is so nice. It's so good that it is not as big as the business that we thought it would be, at least yet. But at the same time, it's much better because it has social impact. It's, I don't know, doing great things to people. And so those kind of things balanced a little bit more. And we understood that doing social impact was something very nice. And although it doesn't make the amount of money that we thought that it could, it is greater or it's nicer or whatever. It's very nice to do it.
I remember when I won in 2015 and went to Singapore for the Congress, I felt like, what am I doing here? I'm doing a business, a language learning platform. How do I deserve to be here with all the people who are saving the world? So I can totally understand because that concept was also very new to me at that point. And it happened to do it rather than actually planning for it.
I went to that Congress as well, I think in 2015 in Singapore. I was there.
It was 16 in Singapore. Did
16?
Yeah.
I think I was there. I don't remember. I went to Singapore, I'm sure. I went to Singapore, like to a WSA Congress in Singapore, and I think it was in 2016.
Definitely, because I think there was one in Singapore, so we just crossed paths.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was there as well.
Cool. But going back, so you started talking about social impact. What are your favorite impact stories? Like what over this 10 years have left you lasting impression as you helped to solve this?
So there's one thing about being in every day trying to be platform is that it is a little bit colder than trying to work with. Of course, we're working with people, but we all the time, and this is the way I think about having a business and a big business, is that it has to be a platform. It has to be like code to be big. And so we have a lot of stories, but at the same time, there are much more stories that we don't know about. And so it's crazy how not ourselves, but through our platform, more than 1 million people already participated in decision-making process by, I don't know, like participatory budgeting or deciding about things in their cities. It's crazy, the numbers. It's crazy how through the platform, we've solved almost 500,000 potholes or broken lighting or things in their streets. It's crazy. In the pandemic, after the pandemic, actually, more than 200,000 people got vaccinated by scheduling through our platform to go to the municipality to get vaccines without getting to be in a queue or like in a line or whatever. So there are a lot of things that we did that are, wow, very nice for ourselves. There are, of course, small stories of people, for example, that had a problem with their sewage right in front of their houses. And by using our platform, after a month, the thing was solved. And then the person just came to us and said, oh, that's so great. I don't know why. It's crazy how after a month it was solved. And I was trying to solve this for the past 3 years. Wow. And at the same time, for us, the platform just worked. And the person in the public sector just said, we didn't know before. Now we knew and we could solve. And so there are a lot of small stories about this. I don't think we are a kind of platform that goes through really big stories, but we have thousands and thousands of small stories. For example, there's a big TV news station here in Brazil that it's global, and their biggest news program, they interviewed a person that actually he works as a security man in a building that people live in. And he was saying how he uses our platform every day because he goes out of his house very soon in the morning and it's still dark. And he posts about broken lighting and the municipality is always solving that. And he does that because of his security, because he really... He's scared of walking in the streets without light. And things like this, like a lot of things like this happen all the time, but we are focused into trying to give scale to stories, basically.
Absolutely. And it is a huge thing, right? Helping people to get voice and to actually get in touch and fix those problems is both enabling for both the government or public sector and the people. So it's really great to see. And I think that you are actually because later, after you won, there were more winners who are trying to do something similar in different places. But I think that your platform was one of the first ones that feels like everybody followed and copied almost.
Yeah, and the craziest thing is that we started as something, and there are a lot of platforms such as how we started, which is taking care about things in the city, those broken lighting in streets and whatever. But today we became a much bigger platform that tries to take care about health issues, education, social assistance. That it's not only about people posting problems, but actually if you want to put your kid in the school, you go through our platform. If you want to make a doctor's appointment in the public sector, you go through our platform. If you want to schedule your vaccination, you go through our platform. And if you have a broken lighting, you also use the platform. And so it became a much bigger platform because we understood what we needed to do. We want to fix problems in the streets, but we're talking about Brazil and okay, solving I don't know, a pothole in the middle of the street is something nice to do, something that the public sector has to do, but at the same time, it's much more important to put people in the school. It's much more important for people in Brazil have to wait like months to schedule a doctor's appointment. And through the platform, we try to make this faster, at least.
So you became government's digital services platform.
That's what we are. Basically, that's what we are. Like, we have a lot of municipalities as clients. We have some state governments as clients as well. And we are the digital platform for them, where we have, in one side, we have the multi-channel platform. We have an app, we have web platform, we have a WhatsApp chatbot where the citizens can interact with them. And in the other side, we have the platform for the government to solve the things, to actually manage things. So if they want to, I don't know, open new vacancy for schools, they will set up in the platform. It will go to people, and people will do this, and they will manage after that. So we became like software as a service platform for governments to deal with digital public services.
And for example, in Lithuania, we have a special government department taking care of all these digital services, but obviously they are so clumsy. It's not user-friendly. It's not like super efficient. If a private tech company is taking care of it, I can imagine that it all becomes so much easier for the people and for the government to manage. But
yeah, it is like that. So what we've seen is that government always tries to do by themselves, but we became a platform that helps a lot. Today here in Brazil, what we're seeing, we are still a small company. We're not a big company at all. But what we've seen is that what we've developed is something that is getting very big. And so even big cities, they are looking at us and saying, hey, what those guys have here, it's impossible for us to start. We can start developing and trying to get to that, but they already did a lot of the work. And so that's why they like us. They kind of like us.
Yeah, because I can imagine that the quote for government to do it will be so expensive, and still like all the contractors just want to take a lot of money from governments and don't necessarily do an efficient job. So I can totally imagine, but maybe you can tell me a bit about the like that aspect, like how do the governments feel, and like what is the climate when it comes to working with a private company and handling such important areas, and in general the transparency, because some governments might want not to have such a platform, that they don't want to fix things for people. How is the government climate, and also how did it change over the last 10 years?
I may be thinking like it's, I don't know, everything is happy and fun, and we understand that. We know that it's not, but when we're talking about democracy, what I understand is that politicians, they want to be reelected, right? This is their jobs. They're working there. They want to be reelected because they think that they can do better. That's basic. But then, and so if they want to get reelected, they want to deliver more, because it is democracy. So people will vote. And they need to, people need to like them, right? So what we try to do all the time is to have a platform that will make them look at that and say, hey, I will deliver much more to my population if I hire this, if I put this here. And what I understand is that, of course, if the person does and delivers a lot, they need to be reelected. So, of course, some of them, at least in the beginning, got very afraid of, we are going to open ourselves to listen what people want, and we are not going to be able to solve the things. But actually what we started proving is that what we help them solve much more and better, and talking to people. And so it's better to have, we are not the ones that make the problems. So the problem is there. What we are going to try to do is make your team work better. And at the same time, for example, if you are the mayor, you have 1,000 people working in the municipality. You don't know these 1,000 of people, and you don't know if they really want to work for you or not. And so what we're doing is actually trying to bring some accountability also, not only for you, but to your team. And so when they come to us, we try to show as much as we can about the platform. At least now in 2014, 15, 16, in the beginning, we didn't have a great platform. But I think today we have a great platform. And it's becoming easier and easier to show them. And the platform speaks for itself. And not only the platform, but the stories that we already have by working in a lot of governments make them like really want to engage with us.
And going back actually to your discovering your business model and discovering your platform, can you tell me more about that journey from 2013 after the people ready to street?
Yeah, so when we started only with the citizen part of it, because we didn't have any client, any municipality or whatever, and a lot of people started using this, but it was a problem because people were speaking and not being heard because we didn't have the client in the other side, the government in the other side. It took a year, I think, for us to have the first municipality to be using the other part of the platform. And actually, it was easy to bring them, but the problem was to be hired. In here, not only in Brazil, but in a lot of places, it's very hard for the government to hire platforms. And so we really wanted to prove the concept. And so we gave the platform for free to a lot of municipalities. And more than 100 municipalities started using our platform in the beginning, like from 2014 to 15, 16. But we didn't have a business model. And we started having another problem, which was we didn't have money. We got investment in the beginning, but without a business model, it would be impossible. And we were having more and more municipalities and users using the platform without money. So we were getting worse. Every day we were getting a little bit worse. And so we started trying to solve the problem of being hired. So the first thing we did, we were able to sell to a third-party organizations like an NGO that would hire us to deliver the platform to municipalities. We did this for 3 municipalities, and then one municipality here in Brazil said, I want to hire your platform and I will run the process. And we got the first one, and then in 16, the second one, and then in 17, the third one. And we started working with governments. And since that, today we basically have governments as clients. They all hire us directly. Here in Brazil, there's a way of, like in the law, that you can say, hey, I don't want to go for a bid. I will say that I will hire this platform or this company because they're the best ones or whatever. And so it's much harder for them to hire us. It would be easier to fake a bid or whatever, like faking that we have a lot of competitors, but they say, hey, I want to hire this one. And so we've started bringing more and more clients, but it's not easy. We don't sell a lot. We don't have very big contracts, but since 2015, 16, every year we get bigger. Our revenues get at least a little bit bigger. And so what I understand is that this is not a market that if you grow too fast in this market, probably there's something wrong in your company. Actually, you are probably doing fake bids or some corruption or whatever, at least here in Brazil. But then we are there like every year trying to get a little bit bigger and grow a little bit more.
So in numbers, if you know at the top of your mind, you mentioned the number of cases solved, but like users, number of municipalities, also if you got any investment afterwards?
About numbers about users. Today, we have registered more than 1 million registered users. We have more people that use the platform, but we have a lot of things that you don't need to register. So we have more than 1 million registered. We have more than 1 million people that participate in the decision-making process of their cities or participatory budgeting or whatever. What else? Okay, that's just something. So we have, we have more than 100 public services in the platform. A lot of different public services from like the streets, from health, from education and whatever. We have more than 100 municipalities that use the platform, but in the beginning, when it was free, today we have around 20 municipalities that are our clients. Those 20 municipalities, if you get their population, it will be around, like 10 million people, something around that. What else? Today we are a little bit more than 50 people in the team. We closed some investments in our journey. In the beginning, like right in the beginning, 2013, we closed a very small investment, but it was very important for us. And then we closed a new one with 2 American funds. And then in 2020, and then in last year, we also closed a new deal with a golf tech fund here in Brazil and another investor that we already had.
And in terms of user onboarding, you started off and you said that you first had the users before municipalities. Was it all your marketing agency experience that you managed to get it into the hands of users? How did that work? Like, how does the user onboarding happen now?
So in the beginning, I think that was the first thing about being a social impact company, that it was that when we started talking about this, people would get very interested. Not only people, but media. Media would get very involved, and we were getting interviews all the time. And because of that, we could bring users. But then we faced a problem, which was you start bringing people, but without solving the problems, you have a bigger problem because people, they don't trust the platform anymore. And today we don't advertise ourselves as much, but the clients do. Basically, what we understand is that we need to give clients the ways of advertising the platform, and they advertise the platform as their platform. They're always saying, "Oh, use my platform, Colab." And every day we got a newspaper or whatever by one of our clients using T-shirts that are purple with our brand. We have a lot of mayors that gives interviews using our brand. And that's the best way, I think, of bringing more users to the platform, because what we understood for 10 years is that it's not advertising, but it's actually problem that people start talking to each other, and the clients really want to have people there to be using their platform because they're going to deliver more public services and be reelected in the next campaign, the next terms.
And how did your technology evolve? Because in 2012, as you said, everything was just getting started in terms of platforms, cloud and SaaS and stuff like that. How is it changed?
Oh, in the beginning, we were basically an app that wouldn't work. Was like freaking all the time, was very bad. But we were an app and a platform where those kind of problems like potholes and people could post, and the municipality would solve those problems through our platform. And it was hard to have money to build a better platform. We've always developed the platform ourselves. But then in 2018, 19, we had a big change in the management team of the company. Some of the partners left the company, and we had to rethink a lot of things in the company. And what I understood is that I needed to invest a lot into technology. I didn't have the money yet, but then in 2020, we actually hired a very good person that became our CTO. And from that on, basically from 2020, 2021, we started investing much more into technology. Today, half of our team is product and technology. And so the speed of delivering things is much better than it used to be. And the platform grew a lot. We used to be an app that wouldn't work a lot. Today, we have the iOS and Android apps, but we also have, for each client, a web platform that works basically as a white label kind of platform for them. We have a chatbot on WhatsApp. Here in Brazil, we use a lot of WhatsApp. And we have chatbots on WhatsApp for each client. So the platform here became much bigger and better for users. And at the same time, the platform for the government that was only about solving things became a huge platform where they can actually build a public service, a digital public service, without coding anything, just by getting things and connecting things in a workflow management tool once they build up that thing, it goes to the multi-channel platform. And at the same time, it builds up the management system where the people responsible for that kind of public service will have to manage the public service. And so it became a very big platform. At the same time, we have, for example, a map platform inside our platform, which is very good for you to look at the city and look the data there. You have a lot of data, actually, a lot of reports about everything. You have a CRM. So every citizen that uses the platform, you are getting information from them if they allowed you to get the information, but then you can communicate with that people. So the platform became, when I started the company, when I thought about the idea in 2012, I thought, what is the best platform that I could have if I were the mayor of my city? I think today we are getting there. Being a platform that, if I was a mayor, I really want to open myself to, I want to use technology to deliver more public services. And at the same time, I want to communicate with my people. And at the same time, I want to manage my team. If I'm a mayor of a big city in Brazil, you are probably going to have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people working in that municipality. And if you were elected, I don't know, by 55% of the votes, it means that probably 45% of people that work for you didn't vote on you and actually doesn't want you to be there. And so you have to make them accountable. And so the platform is looking how much time is the data used, like getting to solve those kind of problems. And then actually we use a lot of science to make you work better. So we compare you to yourself saying, hey, this month you are not doing as good as you did last month. Why don't you try to do the same thing? And things like this. So people actually start using, the people from the above that actually starts working better. And so today I think the platform is good, is something that after the whole 10 years journey, not only with that WSA, but I've participated in a lot of congresses and a lot of communities actually about technology, about government, about social impact. And recently I was invited to be one of the members of the GovTech network of the World Economic Forum. And I went there as, I don't know, let me be there. And I was one of the only people from the private sector. There were some ministers that from like the science and technology minister from Namibia or whatever. And when I show the platform, people basically look and say, hey, this can help my country. And today what I understand is yes, probably. But then easy to think like that, but it's hard to actually to make this as a business to close a deal with that person. But the technology is getting better and better and probably will get much better in the next, I don't know, like 2 years.
Do you have plans or ambitions to go try to work in different countries?
Yes, but at the same time, it's not easy. So it is already difficult enough to grow in Brazil. And Brazil is a big country, so you have a big market. You don't need to be looking outside all the time. But at the same time, we understand that the platform that we have today is good to a lot of different places. And probably a lot of the different places will not be able to develop a platform such as ours. But then the business part of this is very hard. I cannot be in Lithuania, for example, trying to build up this company because you need to know the market, you need to know people there, you need to know how the law works. And it's not like Facebook that to go to another country just needs to press a button. You need to have people there in the ground. And today it is a decision around focus, basically. If I have, I don't know, like a partner, and we are talking to a lot of people from other countries to have local partners that want to start this business there, okay, we can go, but we cannot be focusing a lot of our time into that right now. But I really want to, at least in the next couple of years, 2 years, I really want to. We're talking a lot with some people from Indonesia right now, which is a market close to Brazil, more than 200 million inhabitants, democracy that has its problems. A lot of people were using smartphones and WhatsApp and things like this. So we're trying to find out what will be the next market for us to try to go to. And I think that at least we need to start doing this, because if we do not, a lot of people are already doing this all over the world, and we need to see if we're good to the world actually or not. Like, you need to probably find an investor that will invest on this, and you need to make a business plan before.
And it's actually doing this book and research, it really was resonating with me that there are so many similar solutions that actually connected, they would amplify each other. But the world doesn't work like that. It's like we have so much good tech. How do we actually amplify each other? I really hope that we will start moving towards that direction. And then it comes to your social impact measurement. Are you doing any sorts of kind of specific measurements?
We measure things such as digital processes, electronic processes. So when a lot of things that we do, you could do it by paper going to a municipality. And so taking out the paper, we measure that. We measure people being able to decide things. So basically we have two kind of services. One is to receive from people information, right? Not only information, but actually demands from people. And the other one is asking people to decide things. I would say that basically we do only these two things. We have 100 different public services here, and here we have, 300 different public participation processes that we did. We measure how many people are using, deciding how much money. We try to measure the impact with a lot of different things, but the biggest problem is to measure and compare without having us. We have problems trying to understand how it was before using us. So the only thing that we can actually measure is basically paper, because people wouldn't have any kind of decision-making process. Now they have. Well, it was 0, and now you have 1 million. We look at social, like how to measure social impact all the time, but I think that we've never used this as a lot of other companies do, which is, for example, I could say, we have impacted more than 20 million people. I don't care about, this is just a big number. Yes, we did, because the problems that we solved were in cities that all them together have more than 20 million. All right, but come on, I don't think this is a way of doing it. And it has been a very difficult thing to have a kind of measurement that we believe in, want to go with that.
So measuring reduction in bureaucracy almost is also, could be a thing, but very difficult to measure, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. For example, I saw a mayor this week, the mayor of Mogi das Cruzes. It's a city here close to São Paulo. And this is the team of the municipality. Everybody using like T-shirts and with our brand and saying, hey, there were 23,992 demands registered by people into 2013 or 2023. And they got 87% of daily, like a reduction of time. So it used in 2021, before using our platform, the problems would take 128 days to be solved. Now it's 17 days. So from 128 to 17 days. They used to have they had in 2021, 217 people, evaluating the service as good. And last year, 985. So it grew like 354%. Clients are measuring things and we are measuring things as well. This is something good, but it's hard to, they can do it better than ourselves because they can compare to in the beginning. We are now running a new contract in a municipality that we are trying to get all the information that they had before so we can measure, but still working on it. I don't have the numbers yet.
And what do you think, apart from not knowing, because like when I think about the city and the government, there is a routine check of the lights, of the pavements and the roads. Why do you think, without knowing the specific hole or specific lamp, the governments are taking so long to actually fix things?
Because it's a management problem. It's hard. Every day, what I think is that it's very hard to be a mayor of our city, for example, or to be in the management team of a municipality. If it was easy, things were already solved. Things were great all the time. It is hard. It is, at least in Brazil, we don't have money enough. And we have a lot of inequality here in Brazil and social inequality here in Brazil. And as a kind of rich person, I'm a rich person in Brazil, a male, white male in Brazil, which is very hard, and being rich. And that's actually why I started thinking about potholes or whatever. That's the kind of thing that I look and say, hey, the municipality needs to solve. But actually, if you work in a municipality, you are trying to put people in the school. You're trying to make people being, I don't like, have doctors appointed and whatever. And it's very complex. It's very hard. It's not about willing to do and at least what I understand in a democracy, you need to get the votes. And if you need to get the votes, you understand that if you deliver more, you will have more. Probably you have more votes. And so I strongly believe, and that's hard to understand, but I strongly believe that politicians, most or at least some of the politicians, they want to do the good thing. They want to do the right thing, but it's very hard to do it. So it's not a problem of willing to do or not, or I wanted to. It's hard. It's hard. It's just hard. That's all. You don't have the tools for that. So that's why when a municipality starts using our platform, they can say, wow, now I can deliver much more. But then if you think that it took them like 5 years to be able to hire a platform, and actually today they have a platform, but I don't know, like someone can go there and say, hey, you did something wrong hiring this company. It's a corruption process and you will be going to jail. It's hard. Basically, what I understand is that like public stuff is complex. It's much easier to be in a dictatorship.
China, for
because you do whatever you want. And that's why, at least we were talking about Singapore. That's why Singapore is so good, because it is
autocracy. Autocracy, that's what they call it. Yeah.
And they can do what they don't need to ask. They don't have someone. So if a judge says something about the prime minister, he dies. It makes things easier. In a democracy, it's harder to develop things like this. But at the same time, I prefer to live in a democracy than not autocracy.
Would you say that you are also helping the municipalities or mayors to adjust the working processes within its government, optimizing things like that? Because as you say, it's hard when you don't have tools and you don't have a system, then it's all kind of 2,000 people doing their own thing.
Yes, and we do that with numbers, like with platform, right? With tools, actually. And not only that, but also about like changing and getting new perceptions of what they need to do. Because a part of where we use the platform for public participation in the decision-making process is basically, I want to hear what people want. We run a lot of participatory budgeting, which is, I have here, we did for state governments last year and we are running this year again, which is, I have, $15 million for you to decide where to go. And people actually, they start bringing projects. The government analyzes all those projects, sees which one, this one we did last year, I think it was like 67 projects were approved. And then it went for people participation, and 50,000 people, inhabitants, they voted on that. What that is that here in Brazil, we have elections every 4 years. In the beginning, what used to be is that you would vote, give a 4-year mandate for that person, and that person would do whatever they want. Now, you have this kind of platform where you can be listening to people and actually deciding with that what we understand. And we have a lot of methodology around public administration here, is that you can, actually, as society, we hire people. There are technicians to be in the government, right? That's what we do. People they are technical. At least they are supposed to be technical. So they probably know better than me and you what the government is actually able to do. If it's like we have the money to build this school or not, or at least to build 1 or 10 schools. They know they have the money or not better than myself and you. But then once they know if they have the money to build a school and a hospital, now you can, and they know it will cost the same. It will cost exactly the same. It has people needs to use the both of them. And so you have this decision to make. Why not ask people about this? And so what we try to do every day is making this municipalities being using our platform also to be asking things all the time. I saw this week as well, there's one of our clients that is deciding about the name of the bicycles, the free bicycles that will be around the city. The name of that. But at the same time, people are also deciding about where to put money. Like you have one thing that is very ordinary. It's just like the name of it. But people want to own that thing as well, to have that name. And people are deciding about that and at the same time deciding about where to put money.
So do you think that you're actually powering the future of democracy?
I think so. We like a lot of people say this about us. We strongly believe in it. Actually, we do it like we want to do it. So that's why we have methodologies and not only the platform to actually teach those people how to do it. Because there's also one thing. We are in this market for the past 10 years. But for example, you win the election next year and you were never there. You don't know actually how to do it. Or there are a lot of people there that just started by being a secretary or whatever of the city hall. And so we actually, sometimes we know more about public stuff than them. And so we come with a lot of methodology to help them use the platform and use, not the platform, but to manage the city. And so and we do this by empowering people in the decision-making process in democracy. We believe in democracy a lot. And to do it, for example, we've developed a platform to be a very good platform for decision-making process. So when we run a participatory budgeting using the platform, we validate every person's like social security number, their ID in the IRS to understand that person is real and that's that person. We also register every participation into blockchain. So it proves that nobody could change the results. And we do this to become a very good platform for democracy, because we understand that it's not just opening like a type form or Google Forms
where anybody
you need to make this real. It's at least as real as trying to be as closer as an election than anything. We try to we have a lot of security issues into the platform, so we don't lose these things.
I have two kind of almost wrapping up questions. One is, what motivates you and excites you about waking up in the morning? And the other one is, if you had a magic wand and you could change anything about what you do, what would that be?
So the second one. The second one, what I really want today is to be big. So today, what I fight to is to become a bigger company with more people working in it, with a bigger and that will become a bigger platform and actually become big is to deliver much more to, I don't know, I started this company to make it huge and I really want to get there, to make it big with a big impact. And so that would be the thing. I want to do it in the whole world. First, I want to do it in a very good way in Brazil, but I want to go abroad. And that's what makes me wake up every day in the morning. It's like trying to get there every day. It is hard. There are a lot of times where I get, I don't know, like scared or tired or like it's hard. After 10 years, it's hard to be doing kind of the same thing. But at the same time, I really want to make this huge. And so every day I wake up in the morning saying, hey, what can we do to grow? But not only grow, and what I really want to tell is it's not just about the company or making big, as like money big. It is big about the impact, about everything. Once I remember one person asked me, if you grow as big as what you want, you would probably become government. And my response to that is, yeah, I would give it. It's yours. Yeah. Just yours. Just use it. Let me just help using it. It's not about the money or being sold to Google or whatever. It's like being big to have a big impact.
Yeah. And I think that what's happening, like really, the government transitions, we had monarchs, we had like, all these warriors, then the church, at least in Europe, was like the government, and then the governments were set up. And I'm constantly thinking about what's next for the governments. And it's really tech platforms. But the Googles and the Facebooks are really horrible governments, because the only thing that they care about is really their own bottom line and the investor money. But yeah, it feels like...
What I understand, basically, what would be our most success, it would be to connect ourselves with the social media companies, like the social media apps, because it's where everybody is, right? But those companies, I would never connect with them, because those companies are, at least here in Brazil, they had a very big responsibility in Brazil and the US and a lot of different places where they just care about the money. They know what they're doing. Mark Zuckerberg is the most influential person in the world. He puts the candidate that he wants to, and probably he would never vote on Trump, but he doesn't care about this because he's getting money out of it.
And where is that line as a founder? At which point do you actually start to not care, or is it just personal traits? I don't know.
At least here in Brazil, we've elected Bolsonaro, which it was the worst president ever. He's not a human, like a nice human being. He's just about war and fighting and killing people and talking about this all the time. And it was just because of Facebook. Just because of Facebook. Just because of social network. Yeah. It would be impossible for Bolsonaro to be elected 20 years ago. It would be completely impossible. It just happened because of Facebook.
Yeah, I know. Don't even get me started with all the Cambridge Analytica stuff around Brexit and Trump and all of that. It's really crazy.
And they already know what to do. They know what to do, but they just care about the money.
That's anthropological research of how do you become all about the money and not care about the world and the impact that you're making. That's a very interesting question for me, really.
Yeah, for me as well.
But I remembered my question, 2 things. What are the biggest challenges? Because you're constantly mentioning that you really want to grow. And then do you get any reluctancy from new elected governments? When they come on board, do they resist because, it's my predecessor set this up and I don't want to do it, something like that? So again, 2 questions in one.
I'm starting again with the second one. Of course, it happens, but it doesn't happen as we think it would. So we already had like mayor that lost to the competitor, and the competitor also uses the platform. Also, we have, for example, one story, which was the first municipality that hired us in 2015. They were our clients until 2020, and then it had the election, and the new mayor. We didn't have, so the contracts that we have, they are 12-month contract. And of course, when there's an election and they change, you will still have the contract for at least some months, right? Until it closes. But that was a contract that was closed in December.
Okay.
And so and here in Brazil, the elections are in November, but then they only take office in January. The contract closed at that time. And the old guys said they postponed the contract for at least 1 more month. And then the new guys came on. The new mayor came on and said, I don't want this platform anymore because it was used by the other mayor. Today, so we have elections this year, and this mayor has 5% of the votes. he will not be reelected. And in Brazil, to not be reelected, that you are a very bad mayor for you not to be at least with like 40%. So it happens.
Yeah.
But it's not as what we thought, at least, what we might think all the time. And the first question it was, what is the most difficult thing?
Yeah, for you to grow really big.
It is because it is a complex decision to be made. It is not a decision. So we can, for example, present the company to a mayor. He will say, I really want this. And then you do not get hired because one person from that team doesn't want to, whatever doesn't go. It is completely different from the private sector in this way because, and once again, we're talking about democracy. We have the mayor. We think that the mayor is the most important and influential, and the person probably is the most influential one. But the person doesn't have 100% of the decision. It has 15% and needs to talk to the other ones, and someone can be against it. It's different than the private sector. And the hard thing is the complexity around this. And at the same time, the hiring process of technology from the government. That's a very big issue. At least in Brazil, it's easier for you to fake a competition and go for a bid, for example, then say, hey, I want to hire this. And so basically 99% of the companies here in Brazil, they give the material for a municipality to go for a bid, but there's only one company that can develop that thing, be accepted. And so they are faking processes all the time, and we do not do this. And this is very hard because here in Brazil, it will be more secure for you as a mayor hiring me. And for me, if we fake a bid, it will be because once you go through that process, thinking that, we went for a competition, although I can put there that the solution needs to have solved more than 1 million things. Only I can do that. But then it will be easier doing that than trying to say, hey, I want to hire this one because this one is the thing. And it is hard to grow on hiring processes as well.
So it's like democracy is actually biting you in your upper side. It's like the mayor only makes 15% decisions and then the democratic bidding process and all of that.
It is. And you can do everything. I remember I was talking to one of the most influential lawyers, like public lawyers in Brazil. And I was telling him how we do the hiring process here. And everything that you are doing is perfect, is right. Don't worry, you will have problem. Although you are doing everything right, you will have problem. That's life. And that's the market that we decided to work with.
I haven't asked you about digitization because people working in the government also might be very reluctant in terms of using the technology. And then also, I haven't asked you about corruption and that side of things, but I also am very aware of the time.
No, corruption. Of course, we already heard strange things, but it was never something very big around us because I think that the people that wants to hire us or wants to understand what we do, they are not, at least they will not try to do any corruption through us. At least in the beginning, I remember that people didn't know a lot about us, and some guy would come and say, hey, I know the mayor, and if you give him half of the contract, you will get it. Like, it doesn't happen a lot. It happened, I don't know, 3 times, 5 times in the whole story. It doesn't happen a lot, at least through us. And what I really understand is that if you want to do corruption, do it, I don't know, like to build a bridge or whatever that has a lot of money into this. It's too small for them to try to do something around this. It was corruption, and the first one, it was...
Can I ask you how much are you charging, if you might share? Or it's...
Sorry?
How much are you charging, since you're saying it's small and small? Like, it's okay if you don't want to share, but I just...
No, so until last year, and we because of the changes we made in the platform, we just made our prices 4 times bigger than before. Again, today, the biggest contract that we have with a municipality in this new price, it is 1.5 million reais, which is $300,000 per year. That's the biggest contract that we have. And before, they were much smaller. So they were around $30,000 per year.
Yeah.
It was something like this. So that's how we charge by population. We charge by population of the city. But then, of course, in a very small city will cost $1 per person, and 1 million will cost 10 cents per something like that. And about digitalization, so it is hard. We need to train people. We need to be easy. We need to all of that. We have a lot of public designers in our team that actually helps to develop all the public services. So we are developing a lot the platform all the time, but at the same time, we understand that we need a lot of humans to translate that platform to people. And so we think at least I think ourselves sometimes as we need to have in our team a kind of team that mirrors the municipality. And so we are able to help them with everything. It's not about platform, but actually making them understand what they need to do, how they need to do. And that's why I think that in our team, we have probably better professionals than in the municipalities that are our clients. And because we're doing this with a lot of cities at the same time. And one thing that we also do is that as we have some municipalities as clients, we love to take good things that are happening in one city and delivering to the other one. One thing that we have in the platform is what we call like a marketplace, where each of our clients, they can go there, see, oh, I want to see this public service, and they look how it works for the city and how it works for the municipality, who is using this, which municipalities are using this, and by pressing one button, it delivers to them that public service. So it makes them grow with each other. And at the same time, we get people from one municipality and say, hey, we are getting people from this municipality to teach you how to use it better in your city. And we're trying to make this exchange of intelligence from them. But it's not easy.
Yeah, of course, I can imagine like training so many people who are not necessarily digital and then all the process and working with government. But, like really,
sometimes they don't have a computer. Like sometimes they're no, you can use this. Okay, but we don't have computers here in the municipality, or we don't have internet connection. Yeah. Those kind of problems happens a lot.
But okay, really, the more you say, the more questions I have. But maybe this is the final one, really. But it's not that like you have pre-developed, let's say, doctor appointment booking system, but you still have to connect it to the other municipalities' hospitals or like the service providers. So that probably also adds a layer of integrations and kind of complexity.
Yeah. One thing about our newest platform, it is that we understood that there's a lot of technology legacy in those places, and you cannot be trying to make everybody use yours. And so we had to build a platform that is very easy to integrate with other platforms. And that's what we had today. You can integrate through a process, through, I don't know, like a form, Larry. You can integrate through the whole process. So it goes to other systems and platforms. But at the same time, it's not only integrate with other systems, but sometimes they want to change to our platform. And so we need to have more people from that municipality using and understanding how to use. And so we need to make the platform easier for them as well. But that's our work. That's what we need to do every day.
Absolutely.
So sometimes it will be easier just to integrate with another platform. And sometimes there's a new department that will start using our platform and we need to train everybody there. What we try to do is we set up a governance with our team and the team of the municipality for us to train people from that governance to be able to train other people, because it's their problem. They need to train more, and they need to manage the users in the government side of it. Like, we have some municipalities that have almost 1,000 people from the municipality using the platform, using the government side of the platform. And there you can manage the users and what everyone can see or not, or can manage or not, or can whatever. So when you have a public service that is being managed, everything inside our platform, you will have more people being brought to the platform after being trained and so on and so forth.
And with that, I want to invite you to join the democratic processes in your city, because platforms like Colab prove that your voice can drive real change, from streetlights to city budgets. And on that note, next week I will be bringing you another story from the edge of impact, also in the citizen participation space, but this time from Trinidad and Tobago. We will explore how their government is striving to be more open and more inclusive for all. I'll see you next week.